This is one of the most exciting panels that we had today, and we've had some great panels. Today we had the power of Black media and Black business working together. Then we had the CEOs of all 5 major energy companies who are front and center. And we're closing it off with the power of entertainment with some incredible people who have had such a tremendous impact upon the world, quite frankly. Mia, your record, every time I say the 702, my team starts singing the song like they can sing.
Thank you.
But we're looking forward to a great conversation. I'm going to get out the way in just a moment, but I want to just welcome everybody to join us to the entertainment panel. And I'm going to just introduce the moderator today. He's a young man that I've gotten to know in a very short period of time, but there's some people that you can meet and you're instantly impressed with them. And I can tell you that Joshua Gunn is an impressive young man. Not only does he understand the world of business, but he understands the world of entertainment, being an entertainer himself. But he now runs an organization that has never, ever in his life had an African-American in leadership, and that's the Peoria Area Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Development Council. So he is the leader of that from Durham. I'm gonna let him tell you a little bit more about himself. But I'm gonna be quiet because I really want to sit back, listen, let him and you guys do your thing, and I'm gonna enjoy. So hey, at this time, none other than the one and only Joshua Gunn.
Hey, thank you, Brother Ivory, and thank you all for having me on today. It is look, I'm super excited about this conversation. I'm honored to be here, and we have such an esteemed panel. Thank you for everyone for hanging out with us today. And I'm excited about this conversation. As Mr. Ivory shared with you, I am Joshua Gunn, President and CEO with the Peoria Area Chamber of Commerce here in Illinois. I won't make this about my background, but prior to doing economic development work, I had about a 20-year career in the music industry as both an artist and a record label executive or owner of my own entertainment company. And music was really good to me. It gave me the opportunity to travel the world, provide for myself and my family, to really expose me to lots of different avenues. And being an economic development professional, I'm excited to talk about sort of the mix between the two, right? Sometimes we think of entertainment and those of us who are entertainers as just entertainment, but it's a massive industry and it's really a huge economic engine for Black people in this country. So I'm super excited about this conversation and grateful for Mr. Ivory and the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to moderate today. But I'm the least exciting person on this panel, so let's get into the conversation with the real superstars and legends and icons that are on this call with us today. I want to give you all the opportunity to introduce yourselves to the audience today. Each of you has long careers and you've accomplished a lot of different things. So if you will, share with us just a little bit about who you are, what you're doing today. And then one key question I'd like you to address that I think will be interesting to our business members. What have been the keys to your longevity in the industry, right? Many of you I know, like FUBU, for instance, I was wearing when I was in middle school, right? 702, I was jamming in middle school. Here we are 20 years later, right? You all are still thriving in this industry that can be so challenging. So would love to hear from all of you. And in fact, I think I'm going to start with Mr. Jones, Anthony Jones. Share with the people on here just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what have been the keys to your longevity in the industry.
Absolutely. Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Larry. First of all, to the chamber and all the folks here that are joining us. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Put a thumbs up if that's all right. Again, I'm honored to be on this panel, entertainment panel, and entertainment business that thinks of the economic impacts. And I'll start with that. My background as, formerly an entertainment attorney. I spent close to 17 years doing that. Before that, I was an entertainment manager. I think I was an entrepreneur way before that, but I'll think about 20 years in being an entrepreneur is really connecting that entrepreneurial side, because, for a lot of us, and some can attest to this, the only way to really get into entrepreneurialism was through sports and entertainment. So I took that road as an athlete at first, and as a entertainment manager second, an attorney third, and an entrepreneur fourth, really, as for myself. I'll say, I've been, throughout my career, had the pleasure to work with everyone from the Beatles to Denzel Washington to Kimana Paulus, who was another panelist here. And we look at, and throughout those travels, I like to say that, one thing that's consistent is that for our people, there is a lack of understanding of the value of the creations that we so tirelessly create, and whether it be from fashion to music to whatever. And this goes to a conversation that even happened today, where we're talking about African art that was stolen from Africa. It's almost like that art just happened to end up at the Smithsonian or the British Museum. It's just this devaluation of our work. So without getting deep into some of those things, what I would love to provide to the chamber in this discussion today is that we're valuable people, we create valuable businesses, and we do valuable things. And I'll just say this, Larry, excuse my French, but it's damn near time that we get our valuations equivalent to what we do. Not just here in Peoria, not just here in the US, but globally, because we're creating so much value from what FUBU has created to just go throughout it, man, to LeBron, to everybody even here. Your value is important, and let us have this discussion to enhance that value.
Thank you, Brother Jones. You foreshadowed a lot of the things I want to talk about today. Just that value and the economic impact that we disproportionately create the valuable products for, but also disproportionately lose out on the economic end. So we're going to talk about that today. So thank you. Kimana, would love to hear your story, who you are, and what have been the keys to your longevity in the entertainment industry?
I'm just a girl from Hollis, Queens, that happened to grow up around some peers that were a big deal to me anyway, in shaping who I am, like the Run DMCs, the LL Cool J's, the Ed Lovers. Those guys were my elders, my neighbors that I grew up with admiring. I would literally see them at the bodega and then come back home and watch them and their music videos on TV. But those guys were always humble and warm and entertain my silliness when I would ask questions, as an adolescent. And so with that, music and the music business has always been a part of my life. I am a advocate for entertainers in this business. I am an advocate that they get paid fairly, that they get treated fairly, that they get the exposure that they deserve, and that they own their rights and their art. So that has been my career as an entertainment manager. I have since relocated from New York City and am in Georgia, so I get to work with Anthony Jones as the COO of the Entertainment Association. And Mr. Larry Ivory has also blessed me with the opportunity to be the chair of the Entertainment Committee for the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce. So with those hats, I'm able to live my passion and be able to continue to support entertainers and creatives.
Thank you, Kimana. Hollis, Queens, the home of so many legends, and you are in that field as well as a legendary Hollis, Queens representative. So thank you for that. Excited to talk to you a little bit more about the ownership piece today, which we will get into. Up next, Miss Mila Williams. Mila, I know who you are, but tell the rest of the folks who you are and maybe a little bit about what you're doing these days.
Hi, everybody. Okay, yeah, so my name is Mila, and I started in the music industry at a very early age. I've been in the music industry as a recording artist for about 25 years now. I was signed to Motown Records as the lead singer of a trio out of Las Vegas called 702, hence the name 702. That's the area code for Vegas. And we were signed by Michael Bivins. And gosh, I mean, to just be amongst such leaders such as Mr. Bivens and Andre Harrell, the late great Andre Harrell. Oh my goodness, Kedar Massenberg. I mean, I saw so many great influences, and I was so young and didn't know a whole lot, but that is the great thing, I guess, about just getting older and becoming wiser and more seasoned. And I still, perform. I got 702 back together back in 2017, and we toured 18, 19, of course, pre-COVID, and we're still doing shows here and there. I also still perform as a solo artist as well. And, it's just been such a blessing just to bless people with the nostalgia, that can be the soundtrack of everyone's glory days, if you will. And I still get calls all the time to come and just do, whether it's a private party or I do a lot of things for the community. I get asked to do things all the time for different, philanthropic events. And, I have a son who's on the spectrum. So any way that I can give back, the autism spectrum to be exact, any way I can give back, I do. So I like to split my time between entertainment and also just, I guess, doing the research and trying to just learn more about autism and getting out there in the field. I have a 501c3, and I try and, be his mom, do a little performing on the side, and and be his voice. So that's pretty much what I'm up to these days.
You got some jams in your catalog. So,
Thank you.
So cool to see you continuing to thrive and also give back to the community in a way that is so meaningful, right? I think, Brother Ivory, maybe we should have a panel at some point about the autism and its impact on Black youth, right? Because just like in every other system, we are disproportionately sort of left out in terms of research and treatments. And I have a nephew that's on the spectrum, so I've seen firsthand how challenging it can be. So big ups to you for continuing to fight that fight. And we'll talk about that today as well. So
that's awesome.
Thank you for jumping on. I think I see Crystal Barnes is on. Crystal, tell us a little bit about who you are and maybe what have been the keys to your longevity in the industry.
Well, thank you again so much, Larry, the Chamber, Joshua. I'm excited to be on this panel and to share my story and to hear and to learn, continue to learn from others. Again, my name is Crystal Barnes. I actually started out as an actor and did that for a number of years on stage, television, commercials, some films. And then I just got tired of waiting for calls. So I decided to start writing and directing and producing myself. Started out doing that with stage, and that moved into film. I created ARC Productions that's been around now for 20 years. We produced a number of commercials for mostly local businesses here in Chicago. We've done a bunch of web series and PSAs. We've done our feature film in 2019, and we're looking to do more. Actually, in the last couple of months, I embarked on a studio in Elgin, Illinois, which is called Art Studio Chicago. And it's a 75,000 square foot studio space. We have a cyclorama. We have a number of different other spaces ranging from 500 square feet up to 6,800 square feet, where people can come in. We basically partner with small businesses, local brands, independent creators to support them as they come in and create their content, whether it's for TV broadcasting or for their social media sites or for music video. We do that. We also produce and develop content for local businesses or other creators and partner with them and co-produce with them as well. And I would say some of the keys to my longevity has really just been keeping going, not giving up, not stopping, and then having a core group of people always around me that help me to keep going. That never say, hey, don't give up, Crystal. I know it's hard, but keep doing what you're doing. And I've learned a lot from them and continue to persevere through them. And that's me.
Yeah, so cool. So cool to hear that. Sometimes there's so much value and maybe underestimated value in just simply not quitting, right? Just staying the course. It sounds such a simple thing, but oftentimes the difference between those who succeed and those who fail are simply those who refuse to give up. So excited to talk more about ARC Studios today. So thank you for coming on. Up next, we have J. Alexander Martin, the iconic FUBU brand co-founder. Jay, tell us about who you are and a little bit more about how you've managed to have such longevity in the industry.
Thanks, Josh. Hey, Larry. Thanks for having me. I am, of course, one of the, actually there's four of us, so I'm one of the third. I'm the third or the second. Actually, let's just say I'm the second when it comes to FUBU, a co-founder. We've been in business, literally we'll be in business next year, 30 years. And if you want to ask how long we've stayed in business and how we've actually been able to stay in business, and I think it's just the fact of we want something here for us that's by us. We want something to live beyond us. And if I can keep going us until I'm blue in the face. I think a lot of times too, when you listen to a lot of people and they say, well, why don't we have something like this, or why don't we have something like this for us? They don't kind of look back and say, well, maybe we do. And I think that Miss Crystal Barnes was basically saying that, you kind of got to work something and keep working and working and working until it actually progresses, until it actually works. I think that a lot of people give up too fast in what they're trying to do. And I think that we just never give up. We don't know how to do that. And actually, we won't do that because we owe it to others to be that beacon, to be something that's there for them.
Yeah, that's super dope, man. That is, I love to see FUBU still here, still thriving. I've been seeing new ad campaigns in 2021 for new FUBU stuff. The iconic hat that you have on, I'm starting to see that everywhere again. It's just amazing, man. One of the illest FUBU stories that I have is remembering that Gap commercial that y'all had LL Cool J in. It was a Gap endorsement, but he, I guess, snuck the FUBU hat in and then wrote his whole verse about FUBU. And really, that was like some guerrilla marketing. And I really admire that sort of powerful move for a Black-owned brand to get on a stage like that. So I'm honored to have you here, bro, and look forward to talking more about specifically the for us, by us meaning behind the brand and how that applies to building Black economic empowerment. So thank you, man. I think last but certainly not least, we have Grammy Award winning producer Bryce Wilson on. Mr. Wilson, we're talking a little bit about, we're just giving our intro. So tell the folks who you are. And one key question is, what have been your keys to your longevity in the industry?
Okay. My name is Bryce Wilson. I am a record producer. I've acted for a while. I was an artist before I ever produced a record. I think for me, longevity, I think has come from me being, I don't know if it's a fan of the culture or a slave of the culture, but I really, I'm just completely into our culture, what it's done, how it's changed the world. And I think that that's kind of turned into the fight for our culture as it gets sterilized and homogenized by corporate America and by, people in our culture that are selling it, So I think that that's given me longevity to move from space to space. I've produced a lot of R&B artists, did a lot and had a lot of pop success, but then I moved into the EDM space with DJs, the tech space, and now I've moved over into the cannabis space and the CPG space. I think I think at some point you just want to continue to impact culture. I think that becomes that's my adrenaline, that's my rush. To keep trying to do things that impact culture, whether it's something that scales or something that's just super cool, you know. I think, yeah, just to keep my involvement in the growth of the culture and the fight to keep the culture still ours, I think really just motivates me, and the longevity comes out of that.
Mm.
Yeah, man, I dig that. Well, you know, much respect to you for everything you're doing. We're going to get into the cannabis aspect of what you're doing as well today, if time permits. I'd love to hear more about that entrepreneurial venture. Look, this is a dope panel, y'all. I mean, look at the diversity and beauty in Black people, and the talent and the amazing gifts that we all have on this panel. It's just another example of how remarkable Black people are. So thank y'all for making time for the chamber and doing this. I want to get into some tough questions now. I want to really dig deep into the economics of the record industry. And so this question is for anyone on the panel that wants to chime in. We'll get started with some data. So a 2021 study by McKinsey and Company found that the lack of Black representation in film and TV is costing the film and TV industry $10 billion in annual revenue every year. So with such a strong financial case for diverse representation, why do you think Hollywood is still missing the mark? And how do we as a community get more of our stories funded and told? Anyone feel free to chime in.
I'll
Go
jump.
ahead, Jay.
I'll jump in real quick. And if you want to go first, it's up to you. You want to go first?
Go ahead, Jay. You was going.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so I think, again, you know, it goes back to the forest bias mantra that we've been pushing for all this long. And I think sometimes people just don't get it, because how you expect someone to take you, you know, we expect someone to please listen to my demo. Oh, please, I'm really great. Oh, please, oh, I want, can you put me in this? Oh, I'm good. Oh, you need to do this. But again, if you just stop and say, why don't you do it for your, excuse my French, self, then I think that we won't have to be having these conversations, because it's about, again, we started our company in just FUBU, you know, like I said, in 1992. So the growth is just keep on growing. And in turn, now you have a formula, and you have a system, and you have a way to be able to show, look, guys, you can also do it too. But the problem is nobody wants to do it too. They want to just jump onto somebody else's bandwagon, and 9 times out of 10, other powers that be have that bandwagon. Well, why don't you stop thinking about what everybody else is doing and start thinking about what you're doing, and start going your own lane and creating your own thing. I created something called Forest Bias Network. I just partnered with Fox Soul. I have some, hopefully we'll have some more news coming out with that. But the point is, I started it 15 years ago. Now, I'd rather partner with someone and still own my rights and own my situation. Not, okay, well, let me get with you and give me a job and give me a handout. We need to start handing ourselves something. I'll stop there.
No, I appreciate that perspective. That's exactly the path I want to go on. And shout out to Fox Soul, by the way, Jay. James Dubose, who is the executive producer over there, is one of my best friends and one of the first guys to give me a real shot in the industry. So that's dope, man. We'd love to talk more about what y'all are doing. James and I go back 15 years and great brother.
Wow.
So
chime in on it, Josh.
Please do, brother.
Yeah, no, you know, it's funny. I was just watching something on, and this is relevant to some of our Illinois guests. Anyone from Chicago, remember there's a show called Family Matters, right? So Family Matters was based in Chicago, right? A lot of people remember that. And, you know, so going to a little bit of genesis of that show, right? You know, Cosby was a big hit. Cosby was based in Brooklyn, the show at least. And so so who decides, all right, now it's a hit, so we need to make another one, right? So writers that don't look like us said, this is a monetary hit, we need to make another one. So what they do, they started pulling actors from other shows. So the Carl Winslows and all this, so they built this cast, right? And I was watching a little something on this, which was very interesting, especially to our Illinois audience, because it was all white writers writing for this Chicago cast, right? In Hollywood, has never been to Chicago. And it was just not funny, right? So I'm gonna get to my point, but this is the problem. And we've seen it get better, but anybody who knows, who's been in the entertainment industry for 5 minutes knows that this is just a constant problem. The people creating our characters don't know nothing about our characters. Okay, so fast forward, the show doesn't get off to the great start, and they bring in Jaleel White, right? So the funny thing about Jaleel White, who is Urkel, for those who are uninformed, is Jaleel White's character is actually a white guy, right? If you think about it, he's silly, he's corny, he does a lot of white guy things, and they write Jaleel like a white person, right? And then the show picks up. But this is the problem, in my estimation, as being a lawyer that does these type of deals and looks at these kind of things from this perspective, is there was no authenticity with white writers and making a Black family. But then there's this weird character that comes out called Urkel that they can make, who doesn't make sense to any of. I never met anybody like that guy. I don't know if you did, but he becomes a hit because he is almost intrusive to the Black community, and it's just, I just bring all that up because it was, we have a Chicago police officer, a blue collar family, and you know why we don't get our stories out? Because we're not writing. I mean, we just don't. So I mean, until that continues to change and the whitewashing of our characters, and it is changing to some degree, and I'll pass it on to my colleagues here, but that's just a genesis of this, which was very common.
Yeah, I know Crystal is jumping in on this one. I can see it on
your
so go for it.
I just want to say, case in point, with the Black Panther, it made so much money, and so many of us went to see it and supported it. But at the end of the day, it's owned by Disney.
Right.
At the end of the, yes, Ryan Coogler, he, wrote and directed, but he's just getting a small piece of that pie. The bigger piece is Disney. And there are a lot of, not just the writers aren't writing our characters, the directors aren't directing, the producers aren't producing. We generally getting, even if we have a Black writer, it's going out to a white director, or if it's a female writer, it's going out to a male director. So a lot of times it's taken out of our hands. We don't have a complete control of it. And even if everyone on screen is a person of color, the majority of the decision makers who get to decide where it goes, how it goes, to whom it goes, when, and all that good stuff are not people of color. And so, to your point, yes, that is exactly what's happened. It always has happened, and it'll continue to do that. They know that our product makes money. They understand that. It's just now, how do we get into that so that, Shonda Rhimes is probably and Tyler Perry is probably the two people that I think have more direct decision making into what that they do as their craft. But there should be more of those people doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and undoubtedly, this study just came out in March of 2021. It was a well-funded study, right? And it's spreading through the industry. So what major media is going to do, and forgive me guys if I sneeze, it's good that we're not in person because I think I have a cold here. How I read this is that there is a $10 billion opportunity specifically for content for Black representation in film and TV. The industry is going to see that and seize that opportunity, right? And I think what my question is, how do we position ourselves to go after and generate that $10 billion for our community and break that paradigm of Black people being seen as a labor force, right? As you mentioned, the people on the screen, whereas the ownership rests with Disney and major corporations. Would love to hear from any of you, any other thoughts about how we seize this $10 billion opportunity and really start to shift that paradigm.
Again, I just think innately a lot of us haven't been taught you know, distinctively entrepreneurship from day one. You know, we've been, as kids, and I can tell for myself, although I was taught entrepreneurship, and that's probably why I'm where I am in life. But a lot of kids and a lot of people I know, peers and such, they was not treated or was not taught entrepreneurship. So if you don't come up in entrepreneurship and you come up trying to, you know, your best thing in the world is thinking about getting a job at, you know, for the phone company or for the bus, city bus, or a cop, or a city job or anything like that, you won't think this way. And you'll only be a consumer. So I think that now with these panels and all of us getting an eye open and an ear open to listening and to knowing that there's other things besides just being, you know, an average person having a regular job. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, because some of these people, they need to have, somebody has to work, but at least, you know, being able to get a job and move up and be able to be that decision maker just as well. So again, everybody can't be an entrepreneur. This is not for the faint of heart. But for those people, you need to get in there and put your boots, you know, foot to the ground, and actually, when you become an entrepreneur, stay an entrepreneur and build your business, because there's going to be ups and downs. But a lot of people don't go, they just, soon as they get, you know, one little problem, they want to stop and say, forget this, I don't want to do this anymore. And we need more people to have this stick-to-itness to keep going and going and going and going, because that's when you'll have more, you know, FUBUs and other brands and other things that's been along, you know, been around since 1992. I'll stop there.
Word up.
Yeah, if I could add anything.
I'm sorry. I think I see Kimana's hand up. Just want to give her a chance to chime in.
Yeah. So really quickly, I mean, to a certain degree, Jay, I want to disagree with you in the sense of Black people needing to be taught to be entrepreneurs. I think we are innately entrepreneurs. That shows in everything that we do. Unfortunately, we don't always get encouraged in our entrepreneurship, and it's not supported, so that sometimes that dream gets beaten out of us by life, right? I do agree with the fact that we need to do what we in our generation started to do, which is basically create the thing, right? And then keep creating that thing. And just like the Master P's and the Tyler Perry's, like they just kept pushing and creating and creating and creating and keeping their craft and their art. And then you had to do business with them, because after a while, when he's selling out theaters in every city that he goes on tour, and he is employing actors that Hollywood is not wanting to employ, I mean, you have to do business with this man if you want to tap into this market. Master P, you know, like after a while, like he was making so much noise, like you had to do business with him. So if we just encourage, not just, but encourage each other to continue to create your craft, and just do it without concern for what social media is telling you, what you know, an ad representative or a corporate representative is telling you. Do what we did. Like a lot of people, all of us really on this panel, were doing the thing that we were doing because we just loved doing it. There was no rules. There was no position. I didn't know I was a manager until somebody told me that. You know what I'm saying? I was just helping my friend. So if we can go back to that and remember that, and then now teach that with this next generation, that is how we get the money. We get the money by staying true to who you are and forcing corporate America to do business with you.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And if I could just piggyback on that for one moment. I mean, I see, and thank you, Daryl, I believe, is asking a question in the comments here about Hollywood. Hollywood is what we call it, Hollywood. And I'll just give you my really quick one. I'll pass it back to you, Josh. In my opinion about this, I don't, in piggybacking on Kimana's point, I don't think we need Hollyweird and Hollywood as much as we think we do. And I think that's the, fundamental flaw as our upbringing, and is that, you gotta stay in the system, right? As Black people, you gotta get the job, you gotta do, and that's fine for some of us, but some of us creatives, it's a little bit more difficult to do that. So, because there's not as many, we have Jay-Z now, we have some of the good folks on this panel, but we don't have those entertainment success stories, right? So it's go to Hollywood, right? And I had this story of my dear friend, and she took her daughter to Hollywood a couple months ago because this is what you need to do. And I felt so bad because I wanted to pull her back and say, no, we don't need to do that. And I'm, shameless plug for Georgia Entertainment Association is that we have Atlanta, man. Like, come down here. Let's build something down here. You don't need to run off to Hollywood and sell your daughter to Disney. Like, we don't need to do that, right, at this point. Let's build within our circle where we can watch after each other, right? And then we can push our stories of our own daughter, right? So that we can look at that, to this particular parent, to look at her daughter, and that story is not authentic. That's not really gonna build her long-term, okay? That's not gonna help her career long-term. You're not gonna spit my child out through Hollywood, okay? So that system doesn't work for us sometimes. So we can build the ones and build around the ones that are working. So again, I think we have something in Georgia. It's not all the way Hollywood, but we're getting there.
And quite honestly, to your point, Anthony, there is a huge exodus of studios going from Hollywood to Atlanta, to Chicago, to other places in Nevada, Louisiana. There are studios being built up everywhere. In fact, in Chicago, they're searching for studio space because there is so much other content coming out of Hollywood. So it can happen anywhere. I mean, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, they're all looking and building studios in different parts of the country. So Hollywood is really hasn't been for a long time the studio or the place to go to. You can stay right where you are and do exactly that, especially when you have access to professional equipment. It's just about learning, it's about doing and keeping doing and encouraging one another.
Yeah, thank you for raising that point about Georgia. I think in 2019, I don't know about 2020, but in 2019, more films, more major motion pictures were made in the state of Georgia than in the entire state of California for the very first time in the history of the music industry. So that represents a significant shift. And undoubtedly, Black folks have played a key part in that, right? Black people are driving all of the culture in Atlanta for sure. I do need to introduce, we have a guest that has just joined us. The legendary Harry Lennox is on, really doesn't need an introduction. We know him from 5 Heartbeats to Justice League, right? So from movies that are as iconic as any, particularly in our culture. But Mr. Lennox, we did intros earlier. Is there anything you want to say to let folks know, who you are, what you're up to today, and maybe some words about how you managed to have such longevity in the industry? I think you're on mute, brother.
Thank you, Joshua. That's a very generous introduction. It's good to see my other fellow panelists, some of whom are now friends. I see my, of course, Jay Alexander and my brother over there, Anthony, and Kimana. So, and Larry, of course, thank you. So thank you for that question. I was listening to very excellent comments that he was making, all of which I think is true. The decentralization of the Hollywood power system or structure, but it's a very interesting thing. A lot of times I say Hollywood is okay, it's perfectly fine when it stays in Hollywood, but unfortunately, but in many cases, much of the culture that Hollywood has created, many of the traditions, good and bad, follow Hollywood, whether it's in the state of California or in the state of Georgia. It's a Hollywood kind of, it's kind of metastasized in that way, as I say, both for good and bad. But I think a lot of what I'm hearing my fellow panelists say is absolutely true. Not waiting for approval, not waiting for permission, actually going for all of these things are true. On a certain level, this is as much as, I know that the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce and the National Black Chamber of Commerce and business in general, wants to adopt us in some way. And I think that's a very smart thing to mix a portfolio by having something like a entertainment wing. Nevertheless, entertainment is still venture capital. There's no guarantee that the people are going to buy it. I was listening to Kimana say something about the, they were Master P and people were creating content all along, but they found out something other than just creating it. I think it was their almost foolish belief, their almost silly optimism. Jay Alexander, you were talking about, how the success of FUBU, but that took a risk, and it took a risk on a business level, and it took the ability to be able to sustain the investment that we have to make in ourselves at some point if anybody is going to make it. That's why Tyler Perry, it wasn't just he was writing plays, he's very prolific. God bless him, that's all terrific, but he took a gamble and he took it in a way that he could sustain that gamble. And that's what really a lot of this is. It comes down to being able to capitalize this idea in a way that you can sustain yourself while you're building up this business. My wife, who's in business, talks about a J curve, which is, when you first go into business, you're going to lose money. And then at a certain point, it'll turn. And that's where the J comes up. But it really, I think a lot of it comes down to that. And frankly, I think a lot of benefit of these kinds of panels, associations between artists and business, is really in trying to figure out how to create a sustainable financial investment period where things are being capitalized so that you can actually build a customer base. And that really is a lot of the information that I'm looking for right now as I move ahead with certain projects. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. But yeah.
Thank you, Harry. You foreshadowed a few things that I want to discuss too, particularly around the how, right? So we've identified that there is a challenge, right? And Jay so eloquently stated, we need to do this for us, by us. We need to do this on our own. But I eventually want to dig into the how. How is it possible? Most people are probably sitting, most of the audience is watching and saying, yeah, I'd love to, leave my job and follow my dreams too, but how, right? And we want to talk about that. But I don't want to move off of this point around representation just yet, because we talked about film and TV for the most part today. But we've got, music industry legends on this call as well. And music is the industry that I spent most of my life in. It's something that, we all enjoy music, right? It's one of the most infectious art forms on the planet. Here's some more stats, and I want to talk about something specific to the music industry. Despite hip hop and R&B being the two most widely consumed music genres on the planet, right? By and large, and sometimes for Black folks, I think that's hard for us to imagine. We see big pop stars like Ariana Grande or, Justin Bieber, and we think, man, pop music is the end all be all in terms of financial success. But economically, hip hop and R&B generate far more income every single year than any other art form on the planet. However, only 7.5% of all music industry executives are Black, right? So that means 93% of the people driving this culture that is the most influential and successful culture on the planet are not Black folks and driving a Black art form. So I want to specifically talk to Mila and Bryce about this, but any of you all feel free to chime in. How do we shift that paradigm? And I know we need to start our own companies, but there's some value on being on the inside too, right? We saw folks like Russell and Puff and Jay get on the inside and bring folks along. But by and large, that's not happening anymore. 7% of all music industry executives are Black. How do we reconcile that?
Oh my goodness. That's a good question. I mean, you guys said a lot of things that I think go hand in hand with the music industry. Like Ms. Crystal said, I can attest to, getting tired of waiting on the phone to ring. You know what I mean? You do have to be a creator of your own content. And as it pertains to music, that means writing your own music, right? Like everybody always says to me as a recording artist, well, you know, where the money is in writing, you know, not just performing. And there was a time when, like myself as a recording artist, we didn't get royalties of any sort unless we wrote or produced the record. Now with all these streaming and all the other things that are out there, you know, there's such thing now as like, okay, performance royalties, but even still, I'm on the flip side these days because I've become, you know, I'm an independent artist. And yeah, we don't make any money at all, right? But the key thing that y'all said that I really listened to was never giving up. Like Jay said, like you have to keep going, you have to keep going, you have to keep going, you have to keep going. Like Kimana said, I'm going to be a force that y'all are going to have to reckon with. You know what I'm saying? When I keep going and going and going, you may not have ever heard a Mila record, but the point is to continue going. And it makes sense to start your own company. I think you yourself said you started your own company as well. And, you know, that is probably the smartest thing to do, but you have to have an interest in that.
Yeah.
You know, that every artist is not necessarily interested in starting a label. And these artists, such as the Ariana Grandes and the Biebers and all of them, you know, they are signed to these majors, these machines, like myself was at their age. And those companies definitely come in handy, but, you know, are they really making money with these machines? Do you stay signed to these machines, or do you take a chance and jump out there and start your own company? Do you take the chance and say, hey, I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna sign to myself. You know, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I'm an independent artist. It's definitely not easy, but there's joy in the freedom of it, you know, and it's liberating. And I don't have anybody to answer to, and I don't have any real deadlines. You know, I could just kind of float. I mean, that could be a blessing and a curse as well. Don't get me wrong, but it's scary because, you know, only, I guess if you think of it in that way, I don't think that a lot of these young artists with social media even are thinking along the lines of it being an executive, because social media to me seems like it's just it's become just the forefront for all things promotion, all things creative, everything. So that's my question. Is it even necessary with social media? Is it necessary to I don't know, be on that executive side of things? Because you kind of can just go to social media and just you can handle all your business right there. Seriously. So is that necessary?
I think you touched on one of the keys. So like I started my own company out of necessity, right? I got my first deal as a teenager and got dropped from my label and was back in North Carolina trying to figure out what I was going to do. And one of my homeboys that's from New York was, you know, he's an accounting major in college and was like, bro, we can do this on our own, help put some money up. And we did pretty well as an indie, right? We got the tour and, you know, kept all the money for ourselves, but it's hard. Mila, as you mentioned, it's super hard. And, you know, as a creative, I was fortunate to have my partner because he was able to handle a lot of the administrative stuff and I was able to create. But the challenge for a lot of artists is you want to be in your creative brain. It's tough to also be in that business moment. So it's not easy,
Correct.
but when you get the wins, it feels better to be able to keep them all.
Oh, I'm sure.
And not have to split the pie, right? So,
yeah,
I mean, there's a reason why people sign the labels, though, right? Labels do a lot of that.
Very true.
You know? But Bryce, I would love to hear your perspective on this, man. 7% of music industry executives are Black, but Black music is the #1 art form in the world. How do we reconcile that?
I don't know. I think it's a balancing act. You have several things going on, right? You have, I think the shifts that have happened in corporate America and culture have been the biggest culprit. You know, in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was about signing a hot artist and becoming successful at what you do. And then it shifted into signing the artist to you. So you become the label as an A&R person and you make all the money. And that was kind of, that philosophy kind of came from Puff. And in the 90s, we spent all of our time in owning what we built, building companies, building production companies, owning, you know, fighting for masters. We did all of that. And then Jay kind of came back around and was like, it's cooler to sell your stuff to corporate America. You know what I mean? So it's like you're challenging a philosophy with these people, you know, so that becomes the challenge. until you have whoever the next Master P is that says, no, I don't want to sign a Rock Nation. I'm gonna keep it where it's at because I trust my people. Like a LeBron James, perfect example, right? Didn't fall into the pitfalls of the machine. Trusted his friends, built an amazing company, and now he's doing amazing things with it. So it's a shift in psychology to me more than anything, of us to understand what our value is, where our value is, and how we lost it. Because I'm not even mad as any part of me that touches music. I'm not mad who I sit down with, whether they're Black or white, if they're going to actually look for something to sign to this label and actually just do regular business. I'm more interested in that than sitting down with somebody that doesn't want to do anything because his prime objective is, I'm going to shut everything down that comes across my desk unless I'm signing it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of that psychology just got shifted and it got weird to where the things that became cool are the things that are most detrimental to us in the long run. So it's a challenge.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's deep. And that's the value of the experience on this panel, right? You've been able to see the music industry evolve, all of you have, as well as the film and TV industry. So there's been one theme that I've heard throughout the discussion today, and we are moving quickly and running out of time. So I don't want to miss this opportunity to talk specifically about building our own, right? This is the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, designed to build economic empowerment for Black people. And I think we've all agreed that ownership, particularly in the entertainment industry, is a key to that sort of level of empowerment. And I'm going to start with you, Jay, because that's your slogan, that's your motto. FUBU's name is specifically tied to Black ownership, for us, by us. Oftentimes, due to systemic inequities in our country, a lot of Black folks don't have the money or resources to start their own company, or maybe think they don't have the money or resources to start their own company. I suspect that, FUBU had to scale, right? FUBU didn't just start off as a global brand. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you guys got started? How did you take what was probably just an idea at one point and make it tangible and build the empire that you did?
Well, I could say this, you think big, but start small. You can't skip steps, you just can't. You have to build from one level to the next level. And in between that level is probably a whole 1,000 other levels. And I think that most people today and most people that I know of, they don't want to do that. They just want to go from point A to point Z, or point 1 to 100, like instantly. And that can't happen. If you have that mindset, sometimes they may be that old, that weird situation where, you may do that and you may just jump from 1 to 100. But the problem is you won't have the knowledge, in between, that if something pops up or something happens, you won't be able to pivot or learn or do anything else because you don't know what's going on. It's almost like a lot of people, when it comes to, the Google, I'm going to Google this and I'm going to learn this right now. And I'm going to have instant knowledge. I'm going to know exactly what's going on. But the problem is this: if I give you an answer to the test and you don't know how you got to those answers, you're going to be in a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a problem. And I think that we were able to just build one by one. And we start from a hat. From a hat, what else do you really need? Do you need a t-shirt? And from a t-shirt, okay, we need jeans. And from a jeans, you go down, you need footwear. And we just built one step at a time, and being able to do that, I'm learning that's hard because most people just don't want to do that. They don't want to build. They don't want to. They just want it right now. And if that person could get that out of their head, I think maybe a lot of people could be successful.
And you said a word there, brother. Think big, start small. You also said you can't cheat the grind. That's something I tell myself every single day.
One more point I want to make. For instance, a lot of people say, okay, I would like to say, well, you want to let's get in the film. Simple as an iPhone. The simple thing is the iPhone. You start with your iPhone. You create a story. You create a show. You create it and you put it on Instagram. We have a show with Bootsy right now, right? Everybody keeps asking when it's coming out. It's coming out. It's already out. We've been putting on Instagram every day, every episode. So now you're like, wow. So then now we're going to wind up doing the next season, and we'll do the next season on our platform. But we built the, you know what I mean? You got to think different, think diverse, think small, and how I could really make it happen until you can actually be big. And I just wanted to throw that point out.
Yeah, man, you said some words there. You know, social media, Mila, you touched on it. It makes people think that if you just put it online, you're going to get discovered, and tomorrow you'll be viral, and the next week you'll be a millionaire, right? But you really can't. You just can't cheat the grind, right? I mean, 1 in a billion people might have that overnight success.
Right.
But one of my favorite quotes is, "It takes a lifetime of work to become an overnight success," right? So
That's right.
I really appreciate the wisdom we are getting on that in that regard. So, you know, we're running out of time. I want to thank the Illinois State Black Chamber for doing this. And Kimana, I see your hand, and my last point is really targeted at you. So hopefully you'll get to share your thoughts on what you wanted to say first, and then this particular question. Chambers of commerce are really centered around organizing and advocating for specific issues, right? We've seen lots of communities find the value in advocating in an organized body, and chambers are one of those entities that do that. Kimana, you are the COO of the Georgia Entertainment Association. Why is it important for you to engage with organizations like Chambers of Commerce? Why is it important for the folks on this panel to engage with organizations like the Entertainment Association? And how can we advocate better for more equitable practices in entertainment, specifically for Black people?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So what I was going to say about your previous point was, you know, just enjoy those small successes. I think what happens is that you know, creatives can get so caught up in wanting to do you know, put out, you know, this album that's going to go platinum and all that stuff, but you forget that one record that you just completed is a success in and of itself. So I think that as a business owner and entrepreneur, I think we forget to enjoy those small successes. Now, to your question, we are Black business. So the entertainment industry is Black business. So I'm happy that Larry has afforded me the opportunity to kind of hound that into him, the chamber, and the National Black Chamber of Commerce, because for a little while we weren't being recognized as that. We were, you know, people just think, oh, these artists are just having fun, you know, but no, it's a business. They have to make money. They have to sell stuff so that they can continue to sustain themselves. So the Georgia Entertainment Association is really one bridge to just instilling that you are a business, you do have help, you can connect with other businesses, and the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce and the National Black Chamber of Commerce are now inviting us to and recognizing our business so that we can, so if Mila puts out a sock line, she can now sell it at a local Illinois boutique. And now that's a connection that they maybe would not have had it not been for the chamber. Same thing with Bryce and his beverage company. So through the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce, now he has relationships so that his brand can be in certain spaces. Same with Jay. So all of these relationships is what the chambers and these organizations do, so that these entertainers can not only be respected as Black businesses, but now we can also do business together outside of the show.
Yeah, so you touched on an important point there, the business aspect of what entertainers do beyond just the entertainment avenue, right? And all of you on this panel have diversified your business interests greatly. And most of the people in our audience are small business owners or business owners, business executives that might not be thinking about the entertainment industry as a partner in what they do. Can any of you talk about the current projects that you're working on outside of entertainment and how they might relate to small businesses and the partnerships you've been able to generate? Bryce, would love for you to start to talk about the Cbd Drink and how you got into those different avenues.
With the Cbd Drink, we're kind of I don't know if we're creating a model or improvising on a model, but what we've done is we have a CBD iced tea, and what we've done is we've used our marketing expertise and our entertainment relationships, and we've kind of picked up clients in exchange for them being a distribution channel for us. So for instance, the one hotel globally, we just closed a deal to push 2 million units through all of the properties globally. So it'll be 1 million this year, 1 million next year. And in return, we program entertainment for them. So whether it's, Eric Prydz on a big level or somebody on a small level, bringing that entertainment value to the brand is good. We're also creating a content network for them. We also created a podcast for them as well. And then we're going to do a incubation program where we incubate local products, whether it's from women of color, whatever it is, multicultural, but, products that are aware of the whole ecosystem that the one hotel is pledged to. We will incubate products through that and use them as a distribution channel for that as well, and then take a piece of that company. So that's really been the winning formula for us, is to do kind of a barter of what we know in marketing and who we know in entertainment for the space, for the distribution channel. For these brands, we've also got Moxie Hotel, W South Beach. We're focusing on Miami, so we're not moving around too much, but the focus is Miami now. But yeah, that's been the formula that we've been working on for the last 8 months. That's been going pretty good for us.
That's exciting. What's the name of the beverage?
It's called Fras, Fras.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations on that big partnership. We'll look forward to sipping on some of that and relaxing on some hot days in Miami soon. That's really cool, man. On that same aspect of diversifying, right? Taking your experience and your knowledge and network as an entertainer and building new businesses. I cannot leave this conversation without talking to you, Mr. Lennox, about the African American Museum of Performing Arts that you're working on in Bronzeville. Someone named Judith in the chat asked a specific question about that. She says you're opening it in 2022 on the south side of Chicago. We'd love to hear more about that project and how folks on this call can plug in.
Yes, well, to answer Judith's question and anybody else who might be interested, I take it, it's very interesting that you framed it as a diversification. I actually sort of think of this as Joshua as kind of reclaiming an old model, which was in the old days of Hollywood. The movie makers actually owned the buildings where they would show the show. For example, Carl Laemmle, who ran Universal Pictures. There was the Laemmle, even now they have theater names, but according the antitrust law made exhibitors, which are the movie houses, and the producers of the entertainments separate to bust up that trust, as it were. But I'm sort of in Chicago, at least, putting that trust back together. That is, I've been producing shows for some time, but when I see that Daryl Satcher, I think he's on this here in the audience as well. Daryl's a member of Congo Square Theater Company. But the way this started was Congo Square Theater Company's then executive director, Teron Patton, asked me to help find a building for Congo Square to have their own theater building. And indeed, that is part of the impetus, at least the biggest part of why this is happening now. So AMPA is a museum which will dedicate itself to, I think, where Black people have excelled in the living arts. So dance, theater, spoken word, or hermeneutics, for those of you inclined toward preaching and so forth. In television, the living arts. And they will really try to excel in archiving and offering instruction and a permanent collection of what has made Black art the most successful indigenous artistic form in the history of the United States. Most of that other stuff comes from Europe. Some of it, of course, is great. It certainly has influenced what it is that we do in our diaspora experience here in the United States of America. But a great deal of what was produced came right out of the heart of the United States of America, which is Chicago, Illinois. And we felt it would be important to put back what was there in the beginning, even if it wasn't as tangible as it will be now. There were Black theaters. I studied at some of them. There were Black brick and mortar theater companies. There was an entire circuit of entertainment in the old days, which was called the TOBA circuit, TOBA, which was a theater owner booking association. Many of the Black entertainers called it tough on Black asses because those are the people who actually populated those shows and provided the entertainment while they did not own those spaces. Of course, even the Harlem Cotton Club, even now, if you go to the Apollo in Harlem, that's not owned by Black people. So that said, this is going to be, and we have every reason, just like Negro League Baseball, just like funeral parlors, just like hair salons and so forth, where the people who should not have to go outside of their neighborhood to enjoy what it is that they produced. If you went to Kuwait today, or if you went to Qatar, some of these, it costs you 18 cents or 13 cents to buy a gallon of gasoline. Why? Because it's right there. They made it right. They make it right there. Even in Argentina or Venezuela, I think Venezuela, it's 20, maybe 8 or 9 cents a gallon. So this is the same thing. We're going to make this the greatest product. I think of it as a kind of commodity that is something that, that this art, while it is eternal, also has a shelf life. We want to offer it while it's fresh, while it's hot out off of the oven, and give it to the people who helped to make it and to inculcate it. So that's what AMPA will be providing, and they will be providing it in the Lillian Marcy Center for the Performing Arts, which is at 4343 South Cottage Grove. We hope, as Judith mentioned, to be open by this time next year or so. We want a state-of-the-art facility. We just got the schematic design for it. We're still raising the rest of the money for it. I intend to go after that money through by any means necessary, but certainly a big part of that will be, I think, owed by the state of Illinois and the federal government. Damn it, give us our money. You take our money and you put nothing back. This has been going on for too long. And what we're talking about is not at all disruptive. We're taking no food from anyone. Nobody is saying to the world or to their own people in the city of Chicago, hey, this is the greatest entertainment in the world, as brother was saying earlier, talking about this is the most profitable, what Joshua was talking about, most profitable form, and we don't own it. Well, we can do something about that, at least in this one case. And I take great succor and encouragement from the fact that Larry Ivory, since the day I met him, has shown a marked interest in knowing what the value is of what we give away freely. That is to say, we've been giving it away, and it's worth all of the tea in China. And so, hey, let's like brothers making a CBD drink. This is going to be the drink of art, and it'll be water to the desert. It'll be all you can eat restaurant after a 50-year fast. And so let's open up the tables. It won't cost you anything except for the belief in it and the price of the ticket. But we will make sure that everybody can afford that price. So that's what's coming. That's what's owed. Promises made and promises will be kept. I'm saying that we are the greatest inventors and creators in the entire world. And it's time that we started believing that and started behaving accordingly. So,
man, I'm so glad that we got time to hear about that. I'm charged up about it, Mr. Lennox. Look, I know you've got the right man helping you here. Larry Ivory is an incredible brother, but if I can offer some support here in Illinois to make this thing happen, or anything that we can do, please let me know, and I'll work through Brother Ivory to help. We need that here. We need that in the United States of America. Be great to have it in the state of Illinois. And you're right, it's owed to us. So let's go get it. That's amazing. Keeping with the theme of diversifying, I don't want to end this conversation without also talking about philanthropy and nonprofit efforts, because the entertainment industry generates a lot of income for our community, and a lot of the positive impact we're able to make comes from entertainment. Mila, you are a bona fide superstar, right? When I tell my wife that I was on a call with you, we're going to listen to 702 probably the rest of the day today. So she's going to be real hype about that. But how did you transition, or why was it important for you to invest your time, energy, and treasure into the nonprofit that you started?
Well, first of all, thank you for acknowledging me as a bona fide superstar. Because I became a mom, so I don't even think in that mindset. When I had my son, things just transitioned quickly. Thank you. You go into just, I don't know if you have children, but listen, you go into protective mode and mommy mode, and you want to take care of your cub and your tribe. And he was diagnosed when he was around 4, but I knew way before then. We did early intervention because I had a pretty traumatic delivery. And so things just quickly transpired. So I kind of had an idea that he was going to be delayed. And so, I think around 2013, I started a nonprofit in his honor called Proud, Parents Reaching Out to Understand Developmental Delays. What I have learned is that as cliche as it sounds, it definitely takes a village, to not just raise your child, but to also raise and hone these nonprofits. I'm very new to the nonprofit world, coming from the industry, of course, that I was in. But the great thing is that with the platform that I do have, I like to just raise awareness, because as you mentioned at the beginning of this, in the Black community, there is not a lot of conversation about special needs or children on the spectrum. It's not a lot of resources out there for them either. So I just try to at least just use my voice right now. And I get so many different, DMs from young moms of not 1, not 2, sometimes 3 children on the autism spectrum. My God. And I don't know how they do it. I mean, I just have 1. And some days I don't know whether I'm coming or going. So I just realized it was just my purpose, honestly, to give back in this way. I've had my fun. I've toured. I've traveled the world. I've done all that. Cute. All right, great. Thank you, God, for those experiences. But now it's just, it's just about, like I said, giving back and understanding that I've been placed on this earth to bless others and be selfless. And so, my son just was definitely just the poster child for that. And as time goes on, I definitely want to continue to do things and Proud, do some other things with other organizations. It's just really important to me. I was just down in South Carolina a couple of weekends ago. A friend of mine in the industry, he's in the beauty industry, and he just asked me to come down and help him support his cause. And it was just beautiful to give back. And he had COVID testing, and oh my gosh, and he gave away so many free clothes to families in need. And, I'm just about service at this point, whether it's about my cause, autism, or just, like you said, just philanthropic acts. Because y'all loved 702 for so long that I'm able to now see the blessing and the joy in that, and just be able to kind of just do my thing, man, and understand that it's my turn, to get back. So.
Yeah, it's such an important cause, right? I think you know this well, but autism, it disproportionately impacts Black boys more than any other community, right? So we not only are we the least served, we are the most overrepresented in terms of the autism spectrum. So thank you for doing that work. Hey, I want to combine a couple of questions from the chat. I don't know if you all can see it, but folks are asking how they can donate. So I'll ask you, Mila, how people can contribute to your 501c3, and then people are interested also, Mr. Lennox, in how they can donate to AMPA. So I'll let both of you answer that.
You can go to Facebook. I have a direct link on Facebook, the Proud Inc. on facebook.com/Facebook. And thank you. That's very generous. And if you don't, the link is still up. But if you want to, directly contact me, just hit me on all my social media platforms, which are all the same handle, and it's It's Meelah, ITSMEELAH. Thank you for your generosity in advance.
Yeah, thank you. And Mr. Lennox, it looks like Daryl Satcher already put your link in the chat there. So for those of you asking, there's a link in the chat to donate to AMPA. Mr. Lennox, anything else you want to add in terms of how people can contribute?
Well, good looking out, Daryl Satcher. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And Neil, I'm very inspired by what it is you're doing, and great to see your face
Thank
again
you.
up here. So, but yes, so that is Larry. I'm sorry, AMPA Museum.org. So that's where, you know, at some point we're going to have a real financial campaign for the building itself. But we, you know, I don't want to just start collecting money and not know, and not be able to promise, to guarantee that is going to be put to great use. But when the time comes when we're actively doing it, we're raising money now, I'd be most grateful for whatever you can do. But really, this is, we want to get to know the people in the neighborhood well, our partners, our contributors, our patrons. So that really is the first campaign, is a goodwill campaign, because you can never have too much of that. So, but thank you.
Thank you. And you, great point about not collecting money until you can promise and deliver. We've seen a few of our good brothers in the news lately. Some that you probably know who I'm referring to. And we certainly don't want to continue that trend. So I thank you for that. And this has been incredible. I mean, I hope that the audience is joining. I'm learning a ton. You know, this is super valuable to get these folks together to share these ideas. And I know it seemed like we jumped around, but we touched on a lot of common themes today. We talked about ownership. We talked about knowing our value. We talked about doing it yourself, not waiting on anybody to come rescue you. But we also talked about going to get what we are owed, right? And we're going to get what belongs to us. We talked about fairness. We talked about advocacy, organizing. Man, we talked about a lot in a little over an hour. So, hey, thank you to our panelists for giving me the chance just to dialogue with you all. Thanks to the audience for spending all day with the Illinois State Black Chamber. Thank you to the Illinois State Black Chamber for allowing me to be a part of this. And they're super grateful. But now we got to bring on the man of the hour, the man of decades of work in this space to close us out. So, Mr. Ivory, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Joshua. And, you know, it's always, you know, you are a ram in the bush, Joshua. And I really mean that. You know, we always need the X factor, the God factor, because in this journey we call life, we're going to have some challenges. And even when you're trying to do the right thing, people will get in your way to try to stop you from doing the right things. And there's a comment that says, believe there's a purpose for being. Believe that you can make time stand still and know from the moment that you try, if you believe you can, you see you can, you will. See, I believe in our will to do the impossible. Black people have been marginalized, and we have played a second fiddle to a lot of people. And I tell people that we are the original, and a copy can never be better than the original. No matter what you think, the copy can never be better than the original. We have to take our rightful seat. I have been given the incredible responsibility and challenge by God Almighty, in my opinion, to fight for economic empowerment of Black people. And I know that when I take a look at the talent of people that I see here today and what you guys have been able to accomplish, to be able to bring that together with Black businesses, to bring Black media, to do those things and bring it together, the enormous potential we have to be transformational. And we always talk about relationships has to have a transaction, and a transaction leads to transformation. And I believe that we can transform and make this country a better place by challenging it to be better. And it's only going to be better when we participate economically. And so it's with a great deal of pleasure that I serve Black businesses without any remorse or any doubt in terms of how important it is to Black people, because I believe that prosperity, from poverty to prosperity, can only be done through entrepreneurship. Education alone won't get us there. We got to have education and entrepreneurship in order to create a capital, because as the good book says, I think it was Solomon who said, a feast is made for enjoyment, wine maketh merry, but money answers all things. That's out of the book. For those who understand the book, that's out of the book. I believe in us. I believe in you. I believe in us. And I want to do everything in my power to strengthen you, because I know as I strengthen my friends, I strengthen myself. And it's a very simple philosophy in life. Help people get what they want, help people get what they want, and you'll get everything you want. But you got to first make sure that you're available to people. There's nothing more exciting than to help people and to help my brothers and sisters. And with people like Harry Lennox, that we're going to be working hard. Malcolm, who's on this call also, we will be doing a fundraiser for the President of the Senate, as well as the Speaker of the House. And we will have Harry speak, and we're going to ask the state for that $15 million that we need to fund that project. But we're going to bring the who's who. We want to invite you guys to come and join us. Harry's going to give his presentation. We'll have some entertainment at one of his past alumni at Northwestern that we'll have. She has an incredible supper club, and we're going to invite you guys to attend, those who can. But we're going to stay focused, guys, on helping each other. And again, nothing but the greatest deal of respect to every time I hear 702, my girls start singing. Matter of fact, they ready to sing now. Right? They want to come in here and sing for you, but no, please don't do this.
Hey,
do
where my girls at?
Okay. Jay Alexander, Jay, Jay, you're my man. And, you've been an inspiration, man, in terms of what you guys, for us, by us, was just like having the Black Panther movie. It meant a lot. It changed Black people's lives. You got to continue to do that. Kamana, you're my entertainment chairperson and always there for long, good conversations about helping. And I know how much you care about your actors, because I know you work hard for them and you're unapologetic about working for them. And I know they got to be proud to have you working for them. Anthony, my hat's off to you for your leadership and partnering with Kamana, and love hanging out in Atlanta with you. Bryce, man, you the man. Every time I tell someone, I said, look, I said, Bryce Wilson, when they started, I said, you remember the guy who played on The Beauty Shop? He's like, we talking about that fine brother? I said, yeah, that's him. He ain't better looking than me, is he? They kind of laugh at that when I say that, Bryce. But man, I know that you're a conscientious brother who's not just, I can listen to you, man. So I just want to say to everybody, let's continue to work together. Let's find ways of helping each other, and let's do something to make grandma proud of us. So again, at the close of the conference, we got 2 more days, a number of workshops on healthcare tomorrow. And we also have workshops with the heads of agencies like Chicago O'Hare Airport. The leaders of that will be here. The heads of the Capital Development Board, some major organizations that spends billions of dollars will be front and center. And we'll still have a bunch of matchmaking. So nothing but love for you guys. Harry Lennox, you're my man. And guys, stay safe. And let's make sure that we keep moving forward. Take care.